Back to Easy Health and Fitness, Torah Health and Fitness. Thanks again, as always, to Torah Anytime for hosting these videos. Another nugget from Body and Soul. And if you don't have the book, you can access some of this wisdom, much of this wisdom actually, on torahhealth.org, free website with resources in many areas of this topic. In the last session, we talked about comfort foods and how to raise the bar of health in those comfort foods without driving yourself or your family crazy or making anybody feel deprived, chas v'shalom. I'd like to take that a step further today and talk about how we can set ourselves up for greater success. We want to make, a change in our habits. And as we all know, it's really hard to change habits, especially if we've had the same habit for most of our lives. This is why, by the way, it's so important to teach children, encourage in children healthy habits, because you're really giving them a lifetime gift. And if the opposite happens, where the children develop unhealthy habits, it can be a challenge for them literally for their entire lives. How do you make good habits? So we've spoken before about, for example, exercise. If you say, I'm going to go for exercise every day, and you define that as a half an hour or an hour, it's almost impossible for most people to maintain that. But how about if you start, as Dr. Grove said in a video previously, with 1 minute a day, and that's your religious duty. You're going to do that 1 minute, so you make it a habit of doing it every day. Slowly you'll increase the time. The goal is to make it a daily habit. You know it's good for you. If you read our chapter on exercise, you know it's a mitzvah to exercise every day. But the definition of exercise can start off very easily, just as moving my body in for this purpose every single day. Or as I suggested in a different video, get in the habit of parking in the furthest parking spot from the grocery store. Just make that your habit. So you take those extra steps. If you have an opportunity to take the stairs instead of an elevator, even going down, make that your habit. Once you make these healthy practices your habit, it becomes so much easier than to raise the bar little by little and challenge yourself even more. But you got to start easy. Similarly with food. The real battle, in my judgment, is in the grocery store. As soon as the food's in the house, it's eventually going to get eaten. You can only control yourself so long when there's that temptation there. But if you can get yourself in the habit of not buying whatever that challenge is for you, fill in the blank, unless it's a special occasion or rare occasion, but get in the habit of avoiding that aisle in the grocery store. Why do you need to walk down that aisle when you know it's full of things that are going to cause you to stumble? But eating has is a complicated thing, because we have to do it every day. And how do we do it not just in a healthy way, but in a holy way? And it's my thesis, our thesis of this entire series of the book, etc., that if we do the eating, for example, in a holier way, that it will also be a healthier way. They go hand in hand. And I'd like to use eating as an example, and specifically when you feel that that pang of hunger, that taiva to eat something. It turns out that very often when we feel that hunger, it's actually coming from dehydration, and we're mixing the signals. And if we would just take a drink of water at that time, we may not end up snacking, and the snacking, as we know, can be a big stumbling block for us. So one habit I'd like to encourage you to do is every time you feel that urge to have a snack, first have a drink of water and wait for 10, 15 minutes. If you still have that hunger, okay, maybe it's time for a snack. But chances are, at least half the time, that drink of water will take care of that craving. But another health promoting habit, which is also very holy, besides avoiding temptation, is when I am eating, to do it in a slow and mindful way. Eating slowly causes the food to digest more slowly, and it creates greater satiety. But eating slowly and mindfully also is an elevated way of eating. You're eating more as a B'Tselem Elokim and not as a behema. And you get more enjoyment from food when you eat it slowly. You get more time to savor it, let it roll over your tongue. It's interesting that the Talmud, the Gemara, has an ethic about this taught around drinking. The Talmud says, the Gemara says, to drink one's drink not too fast, not too slow. There's this Goldilocks zone of how quickly to drink. This is from the Gemara Pesachim, Pei Vav, Amud Beis. It was taught. This is, by the way, if you want to see it in the book, we have this quoted verbatim on page 129. It was taught, he who drinks his cup in one shot is a glutton. In 2 shots shows derech eretz, good manners. In 3 is of the arrogant. Get that? 1 is gluttonous. 3, you're drinking too slowly. The sweet spot, the Goldilocks zone, is 2. Okay, how does this come out in practice? Well, does it maybe depend on the size of the cup? Right. So let's see what the Shulchan Aruch says on this, on Orach Chaim. One should not drink his cup in 1 shot, for if he did so, he's a glutton. That sounds familiar, right out of the Gemara. 2 drafts is good manners. 3 is the arrogant. That's verbatim the Gemara. But then the Shulchan Aruch adds to this and says, however, with a very small cup, it's permitted to drink in 1 shot. Likewise, a very large cup in 3 or 4 shots. Okay, that's how we would have interpreted that Gemara, I think, and he did it for us. He does it for us. Now, here's my question. Given the myriad of opportunities for self-control in life, why does the Gemara, why do Chazal focus on drinking per se? And why these minute distinctions, 1 versus 2 versus 3, does it really matter? The distinction between drinking in 2 and drinking in 3, I think, is lost on many of us. It just doesn't seem that important on the surface. But you have to remember, the purpose of the entire Torah is what? Why do we need any Torah, including this Torah? It's to refine us into greater human beings, B'Tselem Elokim. That's the purpose of the Torah. Maybe the Gemara is focusing on drinking because that's probably the food-related action or the self-control opportunity we have most often throughout the day. We're not eating throughout the day, but normal people, healthy people, are drinking water or other drinks, beverages throughout the day. That's normal behavior. And since it happens so often, it's like maybe the default opportunity in our daily lives to practice this kind of self-control and mindfulness. That's my take on it, that if I could get better at drinking mindfully and with self-control, then maybe that will permeate, that mindfulness and that self-control will permeate the rest of my life. That's my suggestion to you. That's a practical takeaway we can all try to be better at, drinking in neither a gluttonous way, nor taking too little sips, which makes a person look like they're, I don't know exactly how that comes across. The Gemara says arrogant. Are you so important that you should take little sips? Like maybe a king or a queen would take little sips, but okay, I'm not exactly sure how to translate that. But the way I interpret it is not too fast, not too slow, just right. That's the way to health, and that's the way to holiness. And with that, I'll wish you to be gesund.